Hey guys, thanks for stopping by the channel. So in this video we're going to show you how we went from concept art to a fully functional downhill diecast racetrack. Over the Christmas break we got inspired by watching some YouTube videos showing these downhill diecast racetracks, and we decided we were going to build one. So with any project, first things first, I had to make a materials run. We're going to start our build with some 1x3 furring strips and a couple sheets of 7/16 OSB to build the base and structure for our racetrack. Here's a look at the track plan we came up with. We're trying to contain everything into a 4x8 footprint and cram as much racing as possible into that. So here you can see we've got some Sizzlers Fat Track, some Crash Racers track, some 3D printed sections, and some of the orange Hot Wheels track. This is just laid out kind of to show the idea of the track. Here's the original plan. So the plan is to transfer the top half of the track plan to this top piece of OSB, and then the bottom half from the finish line to the 270 spin to the bottom, and cut out along either side of the track plan so that I can kind of accordion style build it. And I'll use the 1x3s to build structure where I need it, so that I have a base that's a full 4x8 sheet, but that it will just accordion up, and then I can change the elevations as needed. So that was the original plan. So here I am transferring the track plan onto that upper piece of OSB, and then I'll use a jigsaw and a circular saw to cut that out. So we'll just watch this in time lapse. So here's a look at that top sheet once the racetrack alignment has been cut out, and you can kind of see with a couple of spacers that accordion effect that I'm going for. So I'll get this cleaned up and keep going. So again, I just followed the same process. I took the track that I had and started laying it out and tracing out the track plan, and then I used this circular saw and a jigsaw to cut out the track plan. At this same time, we started using our 3D printers to print some of the pieces of track and other pieces that we would need for the racetrack build. Okay, so here's the 2 sheets of OSB. The track plan has been transferred to it, it's been cut out, and then it's just been stacked. So next up, I'm going to build a base with the 1x3 furring strips. I just framed it up on 16-inch centers. This will be the structure for the racetrack. Alright, so with the base built, time to put it all together. So we laid that lower section of track plan down, and it started attaching it around the perimeter, and then we started adding spacers and attaching the upper section of the track plan as well. This is just temporary, but you get the idea of the accordion effect that we talked about. This actually worked out pretty well. We had to make a few minor adjustments here and there, but overall this is the track plan that you see in the final product. So here's the original concept on the 4x8 footprint. It's about 42 inches tall right now. We have some track on there, and we started test running cars. So after some careful consideration, we ended up taking 16 inches off of the long end and 6 inches off of the short side. So now it's 6.5 by 3.5. The footprint's smaller, it's a lot easier to manage and move it around, and our goal was to make it mobile. So we accomplished that without sacrificing the track plan. So with the new footprint established, we went back to work on the track. We constructed the transitions in and out of the Sizzler Fat Track 180 turns out of some 040 styrene, and then we started building sections of mag track. We're always testing cars to make sure things were working. Here's some of the 3D printed 2-lane sections that we incorporated into the racetrack as well. and we're continuing to run cars to make sure everything gets dialed in. So at this point, we're just testing cars and fine-tuning the track. We started thinking about the scenery, and we wanted to take a lot of inspiration from the original concept art. We started using our 3D printers to print the detail pieces that we would use along the finished racetrack. Started doing some paint work. And then we mocked a lot of things up to see what looked good, what worked, and what didn't look good or didn't work. Here's the first look at the original crossover we built along the top straightaway. And then we just kept dialing things in and testing cars and testing cars and testing more cars. So here's an overview of the track before we started any of the scenery work. You see the original starting box and the crossover. And then here we are starting the scenery work. We used insulation foam board and spray foam for all of the scenery. With the racetrack being mobile, we wanted things to have a little flex to them. So while some of the spray foam was drying for the scenery, I built a new crossover section and got that installed on the racetrack. Here you can see the scenery coming together. Just use a utility knife to do all of the carving and shaping work. So I continued working on the carving and shaping, and once I got the final carving all finished, it was time to put some color to it. So we drew a lot of inspiration from that original concept art again, and just used a couple different colors of brown. I think nutmeg and then honey gold was the other color to kind of get that fading effect that we used on all of the terrain. So this was a neat feature that we built into the racetrack, some storage. So the starting gate, the crossover, and the backdrops can all be stored. This thing is self-contained. So here's an overall look at the racetrack with the base scenery colors down. We just used craft paints for all of this as well, nothing expensive. Here's some of the Jersey barrier you see, and we're getting ready to put some paint on the crossover here, and then we started putting down the finished scenery materials, just a little bit of greenery, some trees that I got off of Amazon, a package of like 30 of them for 15 bucks. Just a little bit of greenery. Didn't want to go crazy again using the concept art as the inspiration for this, but wanted to break up that brown just a little bit. Okay, so with the scenery work pretty well finished up, we went to work on this big retaining wall we wanted to build along the racetrack here. We used chloroplast sheets, got it cut to fit, and then we painted it with a primer gray from a rattle can to give it that concrete look. We'll do more detailing along here as the racetrack progresses, but we wanted to be able to do kind of a racer's row down here. So this area of the racetrack will get a lot more detail in the future. So next up, we went back to the 3D printer and we printed some smaller barriers to use around the interior of the Sizzler Fat Track 180 turns. We originally had the Jersey barriers there, but they were just a little bit too tall and they hid the cars, so we changed those out. And lastly, we built a tunnel portal using 1/4-inch foam core board, sprayed it with that gray primer, and then did the black and white Jersey barriers at the finish line to finish things off. So next up was the backdrop. I built that out of 1/4-inch masonite, used craft paint to give it the sky blue. My airbrush I did the cloud work with, and then I used the original concept art in Photoshop to cut out some of the mesas, and then I just printed those out and then glued them to the backdrop. I want to make this clear, I'm shouting from the top of these mesas. The racetrack is not complete. We will continue to add details, but we want to shift into showing some racing video content. That's what we're going to focus on over the next couple of months. So if you like that, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to follow along. Thanks, guys.